Comcast is getting ready for a nationwide rollout of a new plan that charges extra when customers use more than 300 gigabytes of data per month. The news hit the social networks after internal Comcast documents leaked online. Jason Abruzzi writes for Mashable and joins us to talk about it. Hey, Jason, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mike, good to see you.
Good to see you, too. Thanks for coming on. Now, what is this new plan? For example, how much more do customers have to pay when they exceed the cap?
Sure. Well, it depends on, how much you exceed the cap and how much you're willing to pay. If you want to keep your, unlimited internet access and not have to worry about how much you're using, it's going to cost you another $30. Basically, the way it works is people who, just had an existing plan, well, all of a sudden they're going to get a cap on their usage. What we've seen is mostly around 300 gigabytes, which is, a good amount of data. If you're just one person, streaming a couple television shows every once in a while, you probably won't hit it. But, if you're a family of four, that can get tight. So after that, you have to pay, I think it's about $10 for another 50 gigs. You can pay another $10 for another 50 gigs after that. So, there's technically no cap. They're not going to stop you from consuming the internet. They're just going to start charging you when you use a lot of it.
So who do you think is going to have the biggest problem here? You mentioned families, large families, maybe getting a little bit stifled. Is this going to become more and more of a problem as people stream more of their media, as 4K comes online? Maybe, I can imagine virtual reality will make this a nightmare for everybody. How quickly do you think everyone's prices are going to go up?
Oh, yeah. If you have, two people in a household that are streaming a reasonable amount of stuff, whether it be, obviously mostly video is going to be the killer, the high quality video. And especially, if you try to stream a couple 4K movies, that's going to eat up data super fast. You don't have to worry so much about browsing or even music streaming. Even certain forms of gaming aren't that huge. But this is really, leveled, primarily at cable cutters. If you're in a household where you have more than one person consuming, streaming video, it's going to add up fast.
And it's going to cause family arguments, too, because it's, at least with the smart, this is essentially the smartphone model that a lot of companies are using in the smartphone model. I, for one, am grandfathered in at AT&T, which is the only reason I'm clinging to that plan with all I've got. Because what's going to happen is, they're going to get, the family's going to get this massive bill. It's going to be double the normal bill, and everybody's going to start screaming at each other. Oh, you watched this. Well, you played that game, and you downloaded this, and you did that, it seems like the wrong kind of plan for something that's a shared resource within a family among a number of people. But that's something that we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Now, a lot of the press on this is centering around the idea that these caps, which are normally justified by saying, oh, we have to conserve bandwidth. When everybody's using lots of bandwidth, we have to cap people in order to make sure that there's plenty of bandwidth for everybody, and that's why we do it. And these leaked documents seem to reveal that has nothing to do with why the caps are in place. And Comcast talks about things like fairness and offering a more flexible policy. What do you think the outcome of, what's your take on this, I guess, is what I'm saying. Are they exposing the fact that
Sure.
These caps are kind of bogus?
Yeah, if you want to play devil's advocate and see it from Comcast's side, what you say is, just like how you pay your power bill. Everybody pays a different amount for how much they pay for their electricity depending on how much they use. It's just a fair system that way. If my neighbor is using, twice as much power as me, I don't want to have to subsidize, that by paying a higher bill. My bill should be lower, his should be higher. Where that starts falling apart is in the sense that, there is not any real good evidence showing that more, using more internet data, streaming more movies is necessarily making for a poorer experience overall. We've seen, investments in build outs of this capacity. So it really just does become a question of if the company's not even claiming anymore that it needs to do this to handle its network and make it so that everybody, has a good internet experience, then what does this really come down to? Because, it's not really impacting my life. I don't find it unfair if my neighbor streams more movies than I do. As long as I have the option to do that, I'm fine with it. So, people have kind of seized upon that as an example of possibly Comcast, misleading people and trying to use an excuse of network congestion. It's tough to say. I think that if you're in Comcast's corner, it's a pretty simple argument of usage versus what's fair to everybody to pay. But at the same time, I think we've all become accustomed to the internet just being the internet. You use it as much as you want. It's kind of like the water utility in that sense.
So Jason, I think I know the answer to this question. Do you think there will be massive outrage?
it's one of those things that we've seen things like this come about, and you think like, oh, nobody's going to stand for this, and then it just kind of becomes part of the billing cycle, and it can disappear very quickly. I think Comcast is very smart. They're going to roll this out very slowly, very quietly, until you get to the point where all of a sudden it's kind of commonplace. I mean, I think plenty of people are going to get super angry. You're going to see plenty of people on Reddit and on the internet like yelling about this and how unfair it is. But one of the other problems we have is like most people don't have a lot of ISP choices. So if Comcast starts putting you on this plan, there's not that much you can do. You just kind of have to start paying it. The only way we're going to see any serious pushback if there is kind of like a very organized, massive kind of revolt against this, or if Google Fiber starts going everywhere, which I think is what most people are hoping at this point.
Plus, if you've got some complaints against Comcast, there's already a line that's been forming for a couple of years, so get in line. And like you mentioned, they're rolling this out gradually. DSLreport.com said that they're rolling it out first in Arkansas, Louisiana, Tennessee, and Virginia. So you, gentle viewers, are the first victims of this plan. Can't wait to see how much you don't love it. All right, Jason Abruzzi's is at Mashable.com and on Twitter at Jason Abruzzi's. Jason, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, good talking to you.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.